mystical powers, time travel, transcending duality, bilocation, deathless bodies, superhuman abilities like materializing objects, vimanas, the flying vehicles, clairvoyance, telepathy, astral travel, and much, much more. Welcome to the mystery school of the Siddhas, sages who mastered the laws of nature and bent reality, a mind-boggling topic, secrets hidden till today. Hello, my name is Vinita Pandey, and today I'm going to be talking about these Siddhas, real superheroes of the spiritual realm. Siddhas are perfected beings of light. They had powers of perfection called Siddhis, like they had the ability to go into samadhi, which is suspending their bodily functions like a corpse for up to 3 days, usually hiding their body in a cave or keeping it in safe custody with a disciple. In that time, they would manifest a body somewhere else to transmigrate their soul into a new body or someone else's body that had just died to perhaps help someone or do some service. I will tell you some amazing stories later. So how could they do that? It's because they achieved a state of perfection, not just siddhis, which are like spiritual abilities. At the peak of their perfection, through secret yogic methods, something magical happens. There's a descent of divine light into the body that transforms the physical carbon-based body into light particles. This body is called the Divyadeh, or a body of divine light. This is when they attain oneness with the Supreme, and it's called Jivan Mukti, or liberation while living. Then they have transcended duality. Now they have transcended time and space. They can manipulate matter and energy at will. They can access all of time in the past or in the future. Now this light body is immortal, it's deathless. This light body has no shadow, does not breathe, does not need to eat, and doesn't even get captured in a photograph. They ascend as a divine flame when they leave the earth and disappear, not leaving a trace. According to the Siddhas, only one who does not leave behind a body on this planet has attained moksha or liberation. And this should be a goal for our own existence. They use their abilities and are here only to serve humanity fully and completely, and they never misused their siddhis. Having complete knowledge over science and spirituality, from the subatomic particles to the entire universe and beyond creation to the supreme consciousness or Shiva, they were masters of knowledge. They have given the world the Vedic sciences of Jyotish or astrology, time cycles, the calendar, Ayurveda and Siddha medicine, yoga, meditation, pranayam, alchemy of changing metal to gold, and methods of attaining a light body through Kriya Yoga. Though many saints have attained this light body at death through like pure devotion, and these are saints like Mira, Kabir, Nanak, and so many more. So there are ways of attaining this light body through various methods, not just Kriya Yoga. And I would say that we should give this title as Siddha to only one who has attained this light body. Nowadays, this title is being used liberally and given loosely to many masters. And this dilutes the attainment of these Mahasiddhas. It is still easier to attain siddhis, but very few attain this light body. Now, I want to tell you the story about some of these siddhas. One of them is known as Ramalinga Swamigal or Valalar. He was born October 5th, 1823, and he left the planet on January 30th, 1847. He is a master that attained this divine light body. And when some people tried to photograph him, he didn't even come in the photograph. It's documented that he did not have a shadow. So what he used to do is he used to cover himself from head to toe so that at least he had a shadow, otherwise he'd look like a ghost. And he did not breathe. He did not need to eat. And it's a documented case in the British archives, because the British were ruling India at that time, that he went into a room on January 30th in 1874, locked himself there, and disappeared into the sky like a divine flame. So there were thousands of people that saw this happen, and the local police was called. District magistrate registered the case, and it was heard in a British court. And many people gave their testimony as they were witnesses that he went into the room, and then the police, when they opened the room finally, there was nothing there. So Valalar was one of the last Siddhas that were on our planet, and it's been recorded into our journals. So it is a scientific case where a person actually disappeared. Now, another Siddha that we know of is Jesus. And Jesus is known to have this light body because there is an event known as the transfiguration of Jesus, where he went on to the mountain. And you can see here, he went onto the mountain, and the disciples said that he shone like golden light. His face shone like the light, and his clothes were like bright white light. And this is in Matthew's in the Bible. Now, we all know that Jesus was crucified, and after 3 days, he resurrected his body. This is very similar to the Siddhas, who used to suspend their bodily functions, go into samadhi for 3 days. Now, this is what I feel actually happened to Jesus. On the third day, when he rose from the tomb, disciples have described that he ascended up into the sky, and they could see all these colorful rainbow lights as he went up into the sky. Now, this is very similar to the rainbow bodies that are described by disciples of Tibetan monks, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I feel Jesus is another Siddha. Like many other Siddhas, he had attained the light body. Now, there is another Siddha that is well known, and he became famous with Paramahansa Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi, and that is Mahavatar Babaji. And you see a photo here of Babaji that's on the cover of a book that changed my life. Now, this book was written by a great master, and his name is Marshall Govindan, who is still living. He's a Kriya master, and I would give him a lot of credit for doing this research on the Siddhas, and a lot of research that he did about the Siddhas was then translated into English. So this book describes Babaji and what happened to him. He was born in 2003 AD in Tamil Nadu. And then after being initiated by Agastya into Kriya Yoga, he went to Badrinath in the Himalayas. And there he attained the Sorupa Samadhi or Swarupa Samadhi, which is the descent of divine light. And it transforms the human body into this light body. And many people, including Paramahansa Yogananda, Marshall Govindan, and many others, have seen him manifest and unmanifest his body. So he is a living Siddha till today, and one I hope to meet sometime. Another case is about a Buddhist monk. His name was Khenpo Chu and his case of disappearing at death, where his body disappeared after 7 days, was documented by Francis Tiso in a book where he went to Tibet and he took interviews of all these eyewitnesses that saw his body shrink and disappear after 7 days. There are many Tibetan monks whose bodies either left behind hair or nails or completely disappeared or shrunk to a very, very small size. One of them being Akchok Rinpoche. He's from 1918 to 2011. And many of his disciples saw a rainbow body or these rainbow lights or colors of rainbow that appeared as he was leaving the body. Now, I feel that these rainbow colors actually are coming from the 7 chakras that assimilate into the Sushumna Nadi, because the Sushumna Nadi actually has a lot of subtle nadis within it, perhaps 6 or 7. Now, as the enlightened being is leaving the body, these rainbow lights from the chakras, from the ethereal body, ascend up through the 7th chakra, the Sushumna Nadi, and appear as rainbow lights. And this is, I think, what happens. Now, this great perfection is known as Dochen in Buddhism, which is very similar to the meaning of Siddha, which means a perfected being. Now, Francis Tiso writes a very important passage that I want to quote here. He says, in Ramalinga's system, the inner sun in the space of consciousness is called the true thing. This space is an inner space which could seem to have resonances with the subtle body theory that was known to the medieval Mahasiddhas, both Buddhist and Shaivite, and was transmitted to the Tibetans as part of the Vajrayana Buddhism. So there seems to be a global wisdom that existed, and some of the sages who spread this global wisdom were these Siddhas. That's what I feel. Another very famous Siddha researcher, T.N. Ganpati, that we owe a lot to, says that in the Siddha literature, we come across the following types of bodies. So pay attention. First is the Sthula Sharir, which is the physical body. Now, through yoga, one yogi can attain the Yoga Deha, which is perfection of the body. Then you go on to the Siddha Deha. Through various practices, you attain Siddhis, and that is when you're called a Siddha, a Deha, having a Siddha Deha. The third stage is through mantra chanting and many other techniques, you attain a Pranava Mantra Deha, which is a vibrational body that vibrates with the sound of Om. And finally, through even more practices, sustained practices of these sadhanas, you attain the Divya Gyan or Divya Deha or the Jnana Deha, which is the divine light body. Turning the physical body into the divine light body is called Kaya Sadhana, which is spiritual practices using the body. Shivavakyar Siddha explains the transformation of the physical body into the divine body on the analogy of a worm turning itself into a butterfly. A very nice quote that explains what happens as the physical body goes through a metamorphosis into a light body. Now, there are 18 Siddhas, which are very famous, but there are many, many more. There's 84 that are mentioned in another tradition, but I believe there are thousands and thousands of Siddhas over time. 3 of these are ones that I'll mention here. Agastya. Agastya is the foremost of Siddhas. He's the father of all the Siddhas. He is a direct disciple of Shiva, the Supreme. And he is an immortal being of light. He has appeared in all the 4 yugas. These are the great epochs in the Vedic tradition. There is a book here that I have shown you, which is the path as shown by Sage Agastya. These are channeled messages by Sage Agastya through a Swami, and this Swami's daughter has put together these messages that came through into this book. I'd highly recommend this book, and I've read it myself. I feel it's a living knowledge from Sage Agastya in our current age and very pertinent to our current time. Now, another very fascinating Siddha is Siddha Bogar. He was summoned by his guru, who was already in China, to come and teach there because his master wanted to go into Samadhi. And so he called Bogar, who went through a sea route with his disciples to the place which is now called China, probably somewhere near Tibet or somewhere else, where he went and met his guru. And his guru said, well, you have to teach people here, but you need to know the local language. So why don't you transmigrate your soul into a Chinese body that has just died and revive it? That way, that because that body already knows Chinese, that way you can teach the local people in Chinese. So what Bogar did is that he saw a funeral procession going by of an old man, and he transmigrated his soul into this old man's body. And imagine the shock and surprise of people in that funeral procession, seeing this old man come back to life. So this man actually came to be known as Lao Tzu. I know this is pretty shocking, but it's true because Bogar writes about this in great detail. And after he took up this body, he performed what is called as Kaya Kalp. The Siddhas knew age reversal that could be done through various herbs and a special combination of salts. And some of these ingredients were kept secret because through this combination of herbs and minerals and salts, it could elongate the life of the physical body by many hundreds, if not thousands of years. And why did they do that? They elongated the life of that body, like especially when he became this old man, is so that they could practice yoga and meditation and all these sadhanas for enough time. It gave them enough time to practice till they transform their bodies into a light body. Because if you die, then you have to start from scratch again. So this is obviously a lost knowledge today, but they had this Kaya Kalpa age reversal method. Now, when Bogar came back from China to India, he went to a place called Palani, which is in Tamil Nadu, and he came back with several disciples from China. And in Palani, he created or sculpted a statue of Kartikeya, which is a son of Shiva, using 9 poisons. And that's why it's called Navapashanam. So the statue was made by with 9 poisons like sulfur, arsenic, and so on, because Bogar said that when you do a abhishekam, which is pouring a mixture of 5 liquids, 5 ingredients like milk, honey, yogurt, water, and a few others, when you pour it over the statue made of 9 poisons and drink a portion of it, you will get the antidote to many diseases that are about to come in the Kali Yuga. And this statue is still available till today, and people are still having this antidote, which comes from the pouring of this liquid on the statue. So Bogar is also known to have traveled across the world from Arabia to South America. And he writes about it in his memoirs, these magnum opuses that he's written, several of them. And in one of them, he talks about carving this candelabra on the side of the Paracas Mountains in Peru. And you can see a picture of it over here. This is also described in the epic Ramayana, where it talks about the trident of Indra. But Bogar has talked about it, and even till today, there are tribes in Peru and other places in South America that talk about these masters who came from the West, and they had long beards and white robes, and these masters gave them their calendar, their knowledge, their traditions, and so on. So it sort of correlates. So this is another fascinating Siddha Bogar. Now, the third one I'd like to talk to you about today is Thirumuler. Thirumuler story is also of transmigration of a soul. He was sent by Shiva to South India to meet Rishi Agastya. And in his travel, he came upon a village in Tamil Nadu where he saw this herd of cows crying. And so he felt very sad. Why are these cows crying? And he saw nearby that a cow herd had just died. So he felt very bad. And he thought that, okay, let me transmigrate, go into the soul of this cow herd for some time and take these cows home and come back tomorrow and revive my body and move on. So once he moved his soul into the body of this cowherd, the cows are very happy, and he took the cows home, and he met the wife of this the shepherd and this cowherd. And the wife was very curious. This man was acting very differently. Her husband is, speaking very strangely. Anyway, the next day, Thirumuler came back to where he'd left his body. He'd hid his body into a tree trunk. But unfortunately, some people had found his body and cremated it. So now he was stuck in his body. So then he meditated and he asked Shiva, what is going on? What am I supposed to do now? And Shiva said he actually did this deliberately so that Thirumuler could now speak the local language of Tamil and give the knowledge to the local people. So Thirumuler wrote this book called Tirumantiram, which is of 3,000 verses. And every year, he used to meditate for a year, and at the end of the year, he used to write one verse. It's an amazing book. I haven't read the whole book. I've read parts of it, but it's phenomenal knowledge. The third chapter is about Ashtanga Yoga. Now, I know Patanjali is known for this Ashtanga Yoga because he wrote the Yoga Sutras. Patanjali is also known as one of the 18 Siddhas, and both Thirumuler and Patanjali were disciples of Nandi, the Siddha Nandi, or Shiva's bull. And many people, or most people, do not know that the same knowledge of yoga, the Ashtanga Yoga, is also in the Tirumantiram. In fact, there are many more techniques of pranayam that Thirumuler spoke about, and some of these that I have read. So Thirumuler is another Siddha who transcended duality, and he merged into the supreme consciousness and attained moksha, or liberation. So these 18 Siddhas are all very amazing beings. I've summarized it here. I've named them, and I've named their guru, the contributions that they have made, and also the disciples that they had. The dates of when they existed are not really available very clearly because they have existed over hundreds and thousands of years, some of them over eternity, really. They can manifest and unmanifest their bodies. Like I said, Sage Agastya has been here from thousands of years ago, from the time of Sri Ram, or even before. And there is another Siddha, Karuvurar, who is known to have helped in the construction of the Brihadishwara temple in Tanjore about 1,000 years ago. So then he existed. Some of these Siddhas existed till a few hundred years ago, and Babaji exists till today. So this is my short and sweet summary of the Siddhas, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it. Please do come back and subscribe to my channel. I'll put out more very amazing videos. So thanks for watching.